I mean, they have certified organic with the green stamp Doritos, okay, which is still a chemical storm, right? If Doritos can get a certified organic stamp, then that kind of shows you the quality of the USDA certified organic stamp. And I think sometimes when I kind of say it that way, people are like, oh, you can get USDA certified organic gummy bears. Not everything that's certified organic is good.
Is topical collagen a scam? I know a lot of people may be asking this question. And also, what about animal fat? Why are we putting it on our face? And is that really the best solution for acne and anti-aging? Emilie Toups from Toups Co, she chimes in today's conversation as we talk all about putting animal fat on our face for skincare. There's a huge movement of beef tallow skincare, and I'm sure you've heard of it. So we talk all about why and how plant oils, even coconut oil, is not the best option when it comes to skincare. We also dive into ingesting seed oils and how that can actually make you burn, and how consuming animal fat can help you not get sunburned, and the science behind it all. Another topic we cover is greenwashing and how even certified organic products contain soybean oil and other ingredients you don't want to be consuming nor putting on your face, and to just not trust the label. So if you're having hormonal acne or just curious about some natural products in your pantry you can utilize for your skincare regimen, stay tuned because we cover it all in this episode. You guys are listening to the Digestive podcast. I'm sure you know, but hey, I'm your host, Bethany Cameron. Let's get right into the episode. If you're on a budget but still need to care for your gut health like me, I feel you. It can be costly, but at the same time, I am willing to do and pay anything if it can benefit my digestion. That's why I am super excited to finally announce that you can get my digestive support protein powder delivered monthly at 20% off, always for reoccurring deliveries. The testimonies from my digestive protein have touched my heart, and each new one that comes in brightens my day. If you are also one to have the most sensitive tummy and have tried everything looking for answers, give my protein a chance. I personally created it with Nuzest, only allowing the best of the best ingredients and eliminating all common gut irritants. So there's no gums, flavorings, artificial sweeteners, or lectins. Flavored with real organic vanilla beans and cacao, plus the addition of Bacillus coagulans and L-glutamine. 2 ingredients proven by third-party studies to help rebuild the gut lining and aid in digestion. We regularly third-party test for lead and heavy metals, ensuring the cleanest pea protein. I would not put my name on anything I wasn't proud of or wouldn't eat myself, and I consume my own protein every day. My listeners get 35% off your first order when you subscribe to a canister delivered to your doorstep monthly. That's just 12 tubs per year and a happy tummy 365 days a year. Head on over to nuzest-usa.com and use code DIGESTSUB to get 35% off. That's nuzest-usa.com and use code DIGESTSUB for 35% off. That's Digest SUB. Acute high-level exposure to fluoride can lead to abdominal pain, nausea, vomiting, and even muscle spasms. So thankfully, this new fluoride replacement ingredient is just as effective for dental hygiene and much safer. So what is this new ingredient? It's called hydroxyapatite, and it's the perfect replacement for fluoride and completely non-toxic. It's the active ingredient in Bite Toothpaste non-toxic bits. And well, unlike fluoride, the hydroxyapatite works by remineralizing enamel from within, reaching the innermost part of a dental cavity, and binds to plaque and harmful bacteria in our mouth. So, If you're brushing your teeth daily, and I really hope you are, that is a lot of exposure to chemicals that could potentially accumulate and take toll on your health if you are using a toothpaste with fluoride. Now, Bite toothpaste bits, these are what I highly recommend, and they've actually been in my household for like over 2 years now. My husband and I love brushing our teeth with them. We use their fluoride-free tablets. We also love their mouthwash, which is they're super convenient for traveling and just to keep in your purse just for a quick mouth refresher. Now, Bite also has a natural teeth whitening kit. So they have a full line of non-toxic products that I would highly suggest you guys check out for better oral health. And if you've been looking for a natural toothpaste without the paste, try Bite toothpaste tablets. Again, I cannot recommend these more highly. They come in glass jars too, which is really cool. So they're helping reduce plastic waste for the planet. So this is just an all around really cool company. It's definitely worth a try. And if you, for whatever reason, don't like them, you can just cancel any time. So if you want to get 20% off your first order, just go to trybite.com/digest or use code DIGEST at checkout to claim this deal. That's TRYBITE.com/digest and use code DIGEST at checkout. Thank you so much, Emilie, for coming on the show today. I can't wait for you to, first of all, share your story and really talk about skincare because there's a lot of misconceptions, a lot of greenwashing going on. But before we even get into that, I like to start my podcast really high level here and do some rapid fire yes or no questions. And you can only answer yes or no. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. First question. Is it true that there are up to 1,200 chemicals that could be in a fragrance?
Yes.
Is animal fat better than plant oils to put on your face,
Yes.
including coconut oil?
Yes.
Can essential oils ruin your skin?
Yes.
Can essential oils help your skin?
Also, yes.
That's a tricky one. Okay. Does organic automatically mean clean in a skincare product?
Unfortunately, no.
That's a really big misconception. I want to get into that. And then last question, are seed oils causing sunburns and skin damage if you consume them?
That's yes.
That is so interesting. And I know I even shared a little bit about that, just like a little bit about it in my Instagram. And I got so many questions are like, what? If you consume it, like it causes sunburn. So I want to talk about that too. But first of all, why don't you go ahead, introduce yourself and let people know who you are?
So I'm Emilie Toups. I'm the founder of Toups Co Organics. We are a tallow-based skincare and makeup company. And we're based in South Alabama, and we produce our products here and ship them almost worldwide.
So, okay, why did you switch to non-toxic skincare? Like, what's your story? Because I feel like hardly anyone, and maybe there's a few people, but hardly anyone just grows up using non-toxic skincare. There's always like a reason someone switches, right? So what's your story?
So yeah, like a catalyst for change. So my husband and I, we were eating standard American diet. We were using drugstore products. Like we were your average American household, all the same, like whether it's skincare and makeup in our laundry, in our kitchen, pretty standard. So when we had our first daughter, she had really severe eczema issues. And, my husband and I had both also like dealt with things that we thought were normal. They were common, but he was experiencing like a lot of migraines. I had some thyroid dysfunction. I was taking medication for that. Like we had what we thought were just like normal parts of growing up. And then when we had our daughter and she had such a severe issue with her skin, and we were going to the doctor and we were using steroid creams and we were doing all these things, um, we started to like dig into what it meant to be healthy and how we could help her, how we could get out of the cycle of steroid creams. And, the doctor basically said to us that there was nothing else that we could do. There was no cure. And honestly, him telling me that is what made me say that can't be. There has to be another way. So I really devoted all of my time and energy to researching what can I do to help her, and discovered diet changes and, you know, topical things as well, like tallow. And so I started making tallow bombs for her and feeding her differently. And when we started to see her heal, and you go on this rabbit hole of all of these things, I started to realize that we could have improved health as well. And it just really flip flopped our entire life, our family, and we set on this path of health and wellness. And that's kind of where our story started.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of people can relate to you, whether that is a skin issue or whether it's more than that, or whether someone listening, they may have never thought that the skincare or products they're putting on their body could actually be affecting their digestion, or could be affecting their hormones, or some sort of thyroid issue, right? And it's crazy. And a lot of people, again, myself included, I was like, well, how can something topical really affect the inside? And I want to ask you, so how fast does something applied to our skin get absorbed into our bloodstream?
So it's about 30 seconds. And I like to use the analogy of there are like transdermal medication patches. And so when we hear about them, or, we see them in the medical community, we're like, okay, we understand that that works. We know that we can put something transdermally and we can take medication that way. But when we think about the products that we put on our skin, for some reason, we have this misconception that it doesn't penetrate our body, and our skin is our barrier, right? And it's protecting our body. But when you start to kind of understand and like break it down in the way that you understand you can take medication through your skin, that means that everything that you put on your skin goes into your body and affects your hormone health, your endocrine system, and even our nervous system. And so, like, the deeper that you get into understanding that, the more you realize that it's so incredibly important what we put on our skin, because our skin is our largest organ and it's not going through our digestive system, where there are some detox pathways and some things set up to protect us from the outside. It's going onto our skin and directly into our bloodstream very quickly. And obviously there's a lot of different, there's more information to it than that. There's different molecular size. Some things don't penetrate the skin, like non-nano zinc oxide, for an example, does not actually cross the skin and go into the body. And so, there's more information to understand than just the surface. But most things that we're putting on our skin that are conventional and have toxic ingredients are being, going directly into our bodies.
Yeah, that's a great example. And regarding just medication going through our skin, and it's so true. Everyone they don't even think twice about, oh, I'm going to take some hormonal medication, some hormonal cream, whatever it may be. And obviously it's working or,
Definitely
it's affecting the body. So why wouldn't anything else that we put on our skin affect our body? So I want to talk about animal fat. And I started putting tallow on my face, and never would I have ever thought in my future self would be putting animal fat on my face. And it is,
I can relate.
it is like, wait, what did I just do? But now I feel like there is a bigger movement in that, and it's becoming a little bit more, quote, accepted to do that. But why is animal fat better than plant oils? Even quote, healthy plant oils because everyone thinks, well, coconut oil, it's great. And I will tell you, and this was just long before this whole movement for whatever reason, and they were touting coconut oil and they were like, it's so good for your skin. And so every time I would put coconut oil on my face, I would break out more. And I was like, well, it says it's good for you. Like maybe it's like detoxing or something. And so I kept trying it and kept trying it. And I'm like, okay, maybe just my skin does not agree with coconut oil specifically. And anyways, long story short is it just doesn't work for my body. And maybe some people can still praise it and say that it's the best thing ever. But why is animal fat better than plant oils in general?
Well, animal fats have fat soluble vitamins. And so our bodies as, humans, because we're of the animal kingdom, require fat soluble vitamins. You just can't find that in plants. It's going to be in animals only. That's why it's so important to eat animal fats and eat animal products, because we're getting nutrition that you can't get anywhere else. So in the tallow or in lard or in animal fats, we're able to feed our skin with those fat soluble vitamins like A, D, E, and K. And so our skin cells drink it right up. It's so, bioidentical to our own skin's oils. I want to say it's like 98% bioidentical. And so we're putting on our skin what our skin is already making for itself, the oils that we produce for our own skin health. And our skin recognizes it as nutrition, as so similar that it's antimicrobial in its own self. So is some plant oils like coconut oils, antimicrobials, bacterial. And so it can be great in some instances, but it could never penetrate the skin and feed the skin like animal fats, especially animal fats that are grass-fed, grass-finished, rendered properly, and have preserved all of those fat soluble vitamins.
Yeah, that's a good point too, because I think that if the tallow that you're using is not grass-fed or grass-finished, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but those animals have been given injections. They've been eating glyphosate laden grains and all those things. And so obviously then you like we just spoke about, you're putting that on your skin and you're absorbing all of those medications and injections that the animal was getting.
That's correct, because it's going to be stored in the animal's fat, the same as like a human stores toxins in our fat. And so you want to be very particular about where you're getting your tallow from. You want to make sure that you're asking the right questions of the company. You want to ask not only where their tallow is coming from, but you want to ask the process in which their tallow is rendered. Is it high heat extracted? Is it hexane extracted? Is it deodorized? Those all make a difference, because that same thing when you're processing food, some things, if they're heated super high, they're oxidizing, it's changing the molecular structure of the food products. Same like pasteurized milk. I like to use that as an example. Fresh milk is such an amazing powerhouse, but incorrectly treated is really not healthy for our bodies. The amino acids are changed and the milk structure is so different, and you're killing off all great fat soluble vitamins. Same thing with tallow. It can be incorrectly processed, and then while it's still moisturizing, you're losing the fatty acids and those things that are making the tallow very anti-inflammatory, or all of the fat soluble vitamins that we're feeding our skin. So there are different ways to process tallow, and we just want to be asking the right questions to make sure that the company knows how to process the tallow correctly, so that it is super nutritious and nutrient dense for our skin.
Oh, that's a really good point. So what are your products? Like what's the renderization process that you use?
So we are buying the fat straight from the farmers. We vetted these farmers and we're buying the raw fat from them. So then it's ground and then rendered really low and slow and then triple filtered. That's it. There's nothing else added. We don't add water, salt, all these things that you read on the internet of ways to render tallow. We're just doing it extremely low and slow and filtering it well. And so then you're getting this really beautiful product that is still completely intact, all of the fat soluble vitamins, amino acids. And that is why I've, seen people, I've used tallow, I've tried it. And then I was like, well, just can try it again. Try the Toups tallow and see and they come back and they're like, wow, I've had redness and inflammation. I'm dealing with this or whatever. And I'm seeing an actual change in my skin. And I've tried tallow before. And so then I just asked them, like, where are you getting the tallow? Did you render it yourself? Did you buy it? Like sometimes you can buy tallow already in jars, like in the store, even Walmart now, because it's becoming so mainstream, has, tallow on the shelf. And depending on the extraction or the rendering method, it could just be not as nutrient dense.
Yeah, well, and you had sent me some of your products. This was like, gosh, I want to say like 2, 3 months ago now. This was a while ago. And gosh, I have my favorites, but I love that they don't smell. And I know like it could be, well, people want something like that smells really pretty, but I'm just super sensitive to scents in general. And it's just so nice to have just like a fresh, just like product that is not going to be irritating. And I can't remember. I don't even know what it's called. It's like this stick. It's like this a big stick.
Yeah.
The tallow stick.
Completely unscented. There's nothing that's scented in it besides maybe some raw beeswax that might have a little hint of honey. But that's it.
Yeah. That is like one of my favorite products. And
One of my favorites too.
I'll put that on my lips, on my face, on the backs of my hands, like whatever. It's amazing. Now, I want to talk now about just products in general. So what should we be looking for, like ingredients, like in a product? What should we look for in conventional items when we are looking for a clean skincare? Like obviously fragrance is a red flag, but what are some like big red flags here?
So yeah, things that you want to avoid, obviously fragrance first. And then we want to be looking at preservatives or emulsifiers, soy waxes, parabens, which is going to be thickeners and or preservatives. And so when you start getting into things that you can't pronounce, that doesn't mean that they're all bad. Sometimes like for example, jojoba oil, in its Latin form that might be required on the side of the bottle, it might look scary. And so I tell people to do some research, look at the ingredients and actually look up what they are, see what preservatives, if any, they're using. And so for skincare, oil-free is really great because you don't need preservatives. There's no water in there that's going to mold. And so if there's going to be water in it, then we're looking for what preservative is there. What's the pH? Does it have alcohol in it? But a general knowledge of parabens and preservatives is really great so that when you go to the store on the front, it might say like all natural or non-toxic or have like a green leaf or even organic, which is, I know you asked that question earlier, is all organic safe? And unfortunately, the answer is no, because a lot of products, they can have organic soybean oil. And on the front, they've got, certified organic USDA stamp, and you flip it over and you're like, I don't want to be putting soybean oil on my face. So those are probably the biggest ones that I look for when I'm looking for products. And just kind of knowing ingredients or just taking a minute to look it up on your phone or using one of like the many apps that they have to like scan the ingredients. I think Dirty and EWG, there are some, helpful apps out there to know what's good and what's not. But I think it all boils down to educating yourself on ingredients and being knowledgeable of what you're going to bring into your home and what are you going to put on your body.
Yeah, I'm a huge advocate of just being your own advocate and educating yourself because not everyone is going to be there for you. People move away, people stop their job. You can't rely on someone else. So really educating yourself is a huge power move. I want to talk about, you dipped your toes into it a little bit, but greenwashing, like you were saying, like organic, that's a perfect example of greenwashing. But what are some other things to look for that a lot of companies are using?
They're saying non-toxic. They're saying with organic ingredients. Sometimes they have a USDA organic label. when you look at the ingredient list, you just need to say, is this healthy for me? Are all of the ingredients healthy for my skin? Is the first ingredient something like water? And then down the line, there's like 2 organic ingredients towards the end. But on the front, they're going to have a big, made with organic ingredients. It looks great. It looks like a better option. And sometimes they are better options than conventional products. But nowadays in 2024, we have so many really great options that I feel like it's not worth settling for something that's just okay. Something that's kind of better. It's a little greenwashed. It has some ingredients because, like we said earlier, we're still absorbing all of those ingredients into our bodies through our skin. And we're using them 365 days a year, and 7 days a week, 365 days. And what is the impact of a year? How much of that are we taking into our bodies? And we can't really quantify that. How much is our body actually detoxing? And then how long will it take for us to actually see an issue or a problem? And so for me, I don't want to wait 10, 20 years and then have an issue. I want to know what I'm putting in and on my body now. So, like they say, pay now or pay later. And I think it's so important just to be educated enough to know what you're putting on your body. And if you have a family, advocating for what you're bringing into your home and what your family is using is really important too.
I was able to try Peak Tea's new coffee alternative a month before it actually launched, and I've been obsessed ever since. It's called Nandaka, and it reminds me of an upscale hot cocoa when enjoyed warm, but you can also add it to a smoothie for a creamy coffee alternative drink. It's designed to help hormone regulation, and who doesn't need a little hormone regulating these days? Am I right? This blend is infused with ceremonial Peruvian cacao to activate metabolism, functional mushrooms to enhance mood and promote cellular renewal, and fermented pu'er teas that provide calm, sustained energy. And if it's from Peak, then you already can trust it's organic, vegan, and non-GMO. And the best part is that there's no added sugar, preservatives, fillers, or quote, natural flavors that are commonly being added to teas and drink mixes these days, which is quite disturbing, honestly. So I know I can trust Peak Tea because they don't add any nasties or questionable ingredients. Plus, they triple toxin screen all their teas for purity, ensuring no mold, pesticides, heavy metals, or harmful chemicals are in their tea crystals. And yes, even though they're all certified organic, Peak Tea still takes the extra step to screen all their powders. So whether you drink coffee or not, I really think you'll be obsessed, just like I am, with their Nandaka coffee alternative. It's perfect hot or chilled. And this is really cool because they have a free 30-day return policy. So if you try something and you're not happy with it, just send it back for a refund. And you guys know I got a deal for you as well. So if you go to peaklife.com/digest, you can receive up to 15% off plus up to 2 free gifts. That's peaklife.com/digest to get a discount and some freebies. That's peaklife.com/digest. So I recently did a candida cleanse on my Instagram, and if you follow me there, then you probably remember that. And one of the things I made sure I took every night was magnesium. Now, I often take magnesium on a regular basis anyways, but I admit that sometimes and some weeks I am not consistent. However, it came to my attention that magnesium is actually required to eliminate Candida albicans. And without it, your body cannot actually break that yeast down and allow your body to eliminate it. Once I learned that from a study I read in the NIH, I will now never go a night without my magnesium pills. And the brand I take is from Biooptimizers, which is their magnesium breakthrough. My husband and I have actually been taking it for quite a while, so it was already in our cupboard. But again, now that I know the importance magnesium has in eliminating Candida albicans from the body, I never want to stop it. Not only is magnesium required to eliminate yeast from the body, but magnesium is required for over 600 different biochemical reactions in the body, including to help reduce PMS, cramps, and related symptoms, migraines, muscle aches, anxiety, insomnia, and even constipation. The reason I chose Magnesium Breakthrough over the other brands is that it contains all 7 forms of the different types of magnesium, whereas other brands only provide 2 to 3 types. So you're not getting the full spectrum benefits. Another thing I really appreciate about Magnesium Breakthrough is that they don't add any fillers, flavors, silicone dioxide, or gums, which are commonly added to supplements and powders these days. It is also soy-free, gluten-free, vegan, and the best part is Bioptimizers has a 365-day money-back guarantee. That's an entire year. You can try this product, and if you're not satisfied, you'll get your money back. So if you want to get the full spectrum benefits of magnesium, go to bioptimizers.com/digest and use code DIGEST at checkout to save 10%. In addition to the discount you get by using my code, you can get up to 2 travel-sized bottles of Magnesium Breakthrough for free. So again, just go to bioptimizers.com/digest and use code DIGEST. That's bioptimizers.com/digest and use code DIGEST. Yeah, I had an interview with the founder of Branch Basics. I'm sure you're familiar with them. And she was just talking about like how it was affecting her daughter. And we don't realize that maybe it's not affecting us. Like we're fine. Maybe our body can detox better than the next person or something. But you're seeing someone in your home suffer. And you're like, okay, let's get to the bottom of this. Like, for example, the girl at Branch Basics, I think it was like a perfume or something that she was putting on herself. So she wasn't giving it to her child or like anything like that. So she's like, oh, well, it can't be what I'm doing for myself. It can't be even the laundry because it's just me, what I'm doing.
Right.
So little things like that, though, really can impact your whole family, like you were saying. Now, we talked a little bit about organic, and I feel like even so, like even the certified organic products, they have ingredients that are still really harmful. Like I've seen like phthalates and I've seen parabens in certified organic products.
The way that works is the only thing that can be certified organic is something that's grown. So like plants can be certified organic, but the synthetic chemicals that they're adding, because they can't be certified organic, like you can't have a synthetic be organic because it wasn't grown. There's no organic certification like around that. So if it's made with a certain percentage of organic ingredients, you can get the organic seal, even with adding these phthalates, these preservatives into the product. And so it's kind of a
so
loophole.
sketchy. Yeah.
It is. So it's so crazy. So like for example, like our soap. Our soap cannot, it will never be able to get certified organic seal, even though it's made with tallow and coconut oil, 2 ingredients, because the percent of lye, which is sodium hydroxide, is higher than what's allowable for a USDA stamp. So you can't get your soap, because it's processed naturally, a USDA certified organic seal. But if I were to make the soap a detergent based and use a plant-based detergent, not real soap, and obviously no tallow because you can't make a detergent with that, and not use lye, I could get a USDA certified organic seal for it. And so I wish it wasn't so complicated, or I wish it wasn't so misleading, because even when I first started my health journey, I would specifically look for that USDA, that green little circle, because I was like, oh, that means it's good, it's better. I mean, they have certified organic with the green stamp Doritos, okay, which is still a chemical storm, right? So I like to kind of bring that up. Like if Doritos can get a certified organic stamp and have like a different variety of Doritos, which you still know is not good for you, absolute junk food, then that kind of shows you the quality of the USDA certified organic stamp. And I think sometimes when I kind of say it that way, people are like, oh, you can get USDA certified organic gummy bears, which is like 1 million grams of sugar and so bad for your kids. Um, but, like I have family members that be like, oh, but we bought them and they're organic. And I'm like, but I don't want my kid to have 40 grams of sugar. And so, not everything that's certified organic is good. And it applies both to food and obviously to skincare, as you can see.
Yeah, I mean, that's a huge red flag. And I love that example because it's so true. When people look at the grocery store and see like options out there, they're like, oh yeah, it's organic or it's gluten-free. Oh, that's so much better for me. It's gluten-free. And I'm like, there's like 50 ingredients in this, and they made it to make it gluten-free. They add more ingredients, instead of just getting like organically grown whole wheat, if you don't have like a celiac or something like that.
Yeah.
So, and speaking of number of ingredients, and I always talk about this regarding food, and I think it should be applied to skincare as well, is that less is more. If you're looking at a package and you turn it over and you're like, oh, I think I want to like eat this, and there's literally like 2-3 paragraphs of ingredients, why not just get like simple stuff? If you want to jazz it up yourself, do it at home. But and I think skincare is the same way. And that's what I love about your products too, is like it's so simple, like 1, 2, 3 ingredients, like it's so basic. And that's very hard to come by.
Have really nutrient dense ingredients. They're going to speak for themselves. They're powerhouses in and of themselves. You don't need 20 plus ingredients. And so sometimes I'll look on the back of, products and things, and there'll be so many ingredients that it gets confusing. And then you're like, I can't look up all of these. And, well, okay, the first 6 look okay. And I'm sure the rest isn't that much. And so that's kind of the mentality people have when they're looking at these products. Why are all those ingredients added in anyway? What is the need for them? Most of the time, they're either fillers or they're for texture and or smell. And so they're adding all these ingredients in because their top ingredients, the first 5 or 4 ingredients, are so low quality that they're having to add other things to it to make it seem like a great product or make it even be worth using. And so my opinion is that if the first ingredient, the main base of that product, is really high quality, really great, amazingly sourced, cold pressed, and or naturally rendered, they're going to work so well that you don't need anything else.
Yeah. Well, and is it true that the more ingredients for most conventional things, the cheaper they can make the product? Can they make it cheaper because they're using less quality?
So what they're doing is those top ingredients, even though they have the most of them, they have so much else in there that they're able to use less of a good quality ingredient. Yeah, replace it with something else that's a filler, make it cheaper, and have a higher profit, which is what most companies are all about. And when you see like these grassroots companies selling to big, huge, brands who own everything, what's the first thing they do? They take the product and they just add ingredients to it. And so then they're removing the bulk of the great ingredients, replacing them with fillers, adding things like fragrance, and then repackaging it. To me, that seems like such a crazy move because you're going to lose that loyal customer base immediately. Immediately, the people who know better don't want it anymore. And so, yeah, less is definitely more.
For sure. Now, I think a lot of people may have this question is, do natural products actually work? Like, I think that's
such a great question, because if you like flip back to early 90s or late 90s even, and you're going to the health food store and you're pulling a better natural product off the shelf, they were just so terrible. So they get such a bad rap for these like pioneers in the clean world for just not being that great. But now when people are using real ingredients that work, tried and tested ancestral methods, it works so well. People are just having such amazing success after trying all these products that have a million ingredients. I own a skincare company. I would love to tell you that you could eat junk and then just use great skincare and have amazing skin, but it just doesn't work that way. It works very synergistically. And so investing in great quality skincare, but also taking care of your body, drinking enough water, eating well, is going to be vitality. It's going to shine from the exterior.
Yeah, I completely agree. And let's talk about that for a second. So what are some tips that you can give for people taking care of their skin, food, water, like things that they can be doing and consuming beyond skincare?
So for me, the most important non-negotiables are to get adequate sunlight. I know in the skincare industry, the sun is so demonized. And I think that improper use of the sun, letting your skin burn or having excessive exposure definitely, can damage the skin. But getting a healthy amount of sunlight on our skin people just radiate, right? Drinking water and getting proper electrolytes, getting their feet in the grass. Those are my non-negotiables. I like to have sun in my eyes in the morning, water with electrolytes, and then just eating as close to food as nature intended. So whole foods and vegetables and fruits, staying hydrated. Those are my non-negotiables for skincare because it definitely affects our skin. When I eat outside of that norm, sometimes the first place that I'll see it manifest is in my skin.
Interesting. Yeah. I definitely see a difference in my skin when I don't drink enough water.
Yeah.
And it's just, I could have like the cleanest diet and all I'm missing is like, oh, I just did not drink enough water the past day or two.
For sure.
Talking about sun, talking about eating, let's dive into the whole seed oil conspiracy. So how does that work?
So earlier you said that eating oils causes you to burn. And I think that what it really is not eating nourishing fats causes us to burn. And so when we're replacing the fats in our diet from ancestral traditional fats with seed oils, we don't have enough vitamin A which is retinol, right? And that's one of the biggest collagen producers in our skin, right? We need adequate levels of vitamin A. Where do you get that? Animal fats. So when you're consuming that, and our skin has vitality and health from those animal fats, the only place that you can get it. When you go out into the sun, because because your skin is healthier, you're going to be more likely to tan instead of burn. When you're consuming seed oils instead, they're oxidizing in our body and our skin is just the fat soluble vitamins is deficient. And so then we're burning. And I actually did an experiment on this with my kids. And so we live on the coast. We're in South Alabama, 20 minutes or so from the beach. So we have plenty of opportunity to go to the beach. And every year, beginning of the summer, the kids would have to get like that initial little burn on their cheeks and their shoulders to like get that tan for the summer. And we would burn, or I would bring hats and long sleeve shirts because, it's just excessive exposure at the beach. And then I learned that if they had adequate vitamin A stores, that wouldn't happen. I was like, okay, well, I'm going to experiment and see. So at the end of the summer, it was probably around this time, like July, August, I started giving them, I started making a point to cook with tallow every single day and giving them cod liver oil every day until the next summer. And the next summer, I'm telling you, not only did they not burn, but they were darker and tanned more than they ever had before. So my oldest son, his back was so dark, and I was just like, wow, like he's never experienced that before. They needed adequate vitamin A stores. And I don't know if you're a fan of Morley Robbins and the magnesium protocol.
He's been on the pod. Yeah.
Okay. And so I love Morley and his in his RCP protocol. And so I put the kids on the protocol, and he said they won't burn if they have adequate vitamin A and retinol stores. So I hit it hard and was like, we're going to do, and I didn't just see it in them, but I saw it in myself. And I was just so pleased with the results. I was immediately a firm believer that that's a vital part of our diet that we're missing is the fat soluble vitamins, and which is primarily vitamin A. And we hear, oh, eat carrots, which is beta carotene for your eye health. You need vitamin A, but our skin needs it so much. And I can't remember the exact number. I want to say that Morley has said like 12 times the amount of vitamin A in the form of retinol in an animal-based product than in plant-based, which is like carrots or anything high in beta
Sweet
carotene.
potatoes, yeah.
Yeah, you need 12 times as much to convert to, which is, what our body recognizes as retinol. You need 10 or 12 times the amount of beta carotene. So obviously you would want to get it from animal sources because it's easier and more bioavailable.
Yeah.
And so I was such a proponent for it that I was telling everyone, I was like, you need to be feeding your kids cod liver oil. They need to be eating, fatty red meat that's from grass-fed sources because they won't burn. And so now that we've been doing it for a couple of years now and really changed our lifestyle, we really don't need sunscreen at all. Toups has the sun balm, so I bring it in the stick form and we kind of just will put it on cheeks and nose because we're getting excessive sun at the beach. And after, a couple of hours, or they've had enough, we put on our long sleeve shirts and we're good and we never burn and we don't bring conventional sunscreen. And so I had a friend come with us and she's like, do you have any regular sunscreen? I was like, no, like we practice what we preach. We really don't. And, of course, then I explained fat soluble vitamins and cod liver oil and tallow. And, it's really intriguing and it can be a testament to other people. And they're really interested. They want to know the information because you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and I also want to share that I know people listening can't actually see you, but your skin is amazing.
Oh,
like it is like butter, so smooth and vibrant. And it's a huge testimony to you. And I want to ask, so we just talked about vitamin A. So animal fats, cod liver oil, tallow. What are some other forms of vitamin A that you can tell the listeners?
Ooh.
Like how about like butter?
Yeah. Oh, definitely grass-fed butter and even raw milk. So, we have a milk cow. I have 5 children. And so for us, we started off, we were buying raw milk and it gets real expensive with a big family like us. And we had land. And so my husband and I did the deep dive and we decided that we would have a milk cow and milk this cow for ourselves. And we've been doing it now like 8 years and it's been such a journey. But now like the vibrancy that I see in my younger kids versus my older ones, because my diet was different and I was consuming these things during pregnancy and then they got them, as their first foods, is noticeable as their mom. Maybe from the outside looking in, they all look healthy and they all look great, but I can tell the difference in their resilience to sickness and in their recovery time. My younger kids who definitely got downloaded with more minerals and more fat soluble vitamins get sick less and recover more quickly than my older ones. And so I'm obviously completely sold of seeing it firsthand. And, when you're kind of skeptical about those things, or you're just concerned that you don't know what to believe, you can never go wrong with real food that comes from healthy sources. Like it's a no-brainer. And when you're looking at all these packaged foods and what the ingredients are, and same thing with skincare, just go back to the basics and you get simple, whole form skincare or food. And that's what you kind of set your base on. How can you go wrong?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a great point. This is kind of a funny question, but I'm just going to ask it. What do you think of putting butter on your face?
Raw butter for sure. Let me tell you, I'm doing dishes a lot. We have a lot of kids. When I make homemade butter, I love to put my hands in it and like to rinse it out, because after my hands are just so soft and so buttery, and I can't even lie, maybe a couple times of them being kind of oily, I've like wiped them on my face. I don't put it up my arms.
Go for it. Yeah.
Nothing goes to waste.
That's so funny. And I have a similar story. Like sometimes I'll be cooking with like beef tallow. And okay, this is may not be the best thing, but sometimes my hands are clean. I'll dig into the beef tallow like jar and, just with my hands and put it on the skillet instead of
Yeah.
using a spoon. I'll just whatever. And so there's a little residue left on my hands and I will just rub it on my hands.
Yeah, rub it in.
And then of course, like I'll go to like rinse my hands in the sink and it doesn't come off.
Yeah.
It's like there, and which is a good thing. I like it. But it's so interesting, the differences. Now, let's talk about acne.
Okay.
And I also want to ask a few things about anti-aging, but let's go into acne first, because even if you are 13 years old or you are 40, I feel like there's like, you have acne, adult acne, hormones are changing, they come up, even pregnancy can bring up acne. So what would you say to those that are suffering with acne? They are looking for alternatives and they've tried alternatives, but they're like, the oils just make it worse. Like, what would you say to those people?
So acne in this just toxic world that we live in is unavoidable for some people. We live in a toxic world and you can't escape it all. So there's always going to be something. We're always working toward being better, but perfection is never the goal. And so like I have almost 2 teenagers now and they're starting to like get little blackheads or around, they're coming into puberty and they're seeing some acne and they're like, "Oh mom, what do I do?" I immediately started them on using the charcoal soap. It's tallow based. Charcoal's great for acne. It kind of pulls out the bacteria that's housed in the pores, pulls it out, and then the next thing that they do is put on the toner, and it's witch hazel based, and so it's killing any bacteria on the skin, and then having them top it with tallow. And I know it sounds the opposite of, especially when you're overproducing oil, if you're putting tallow on your skin, and I'm talking about a pea size, like the tip of your pinky, because I think one of the biggest issues, especially around tallow, is that people are used to using more. They're used to using like in a lotion or anything that you put on your face that's water-based, you need more of it because it's not pure. It's mixed with water and an emulsifier, but you just need so little. I wish I could show you, but like I have them take their little fingernail, just scrape a little bit off the top of the tallow balm, put it in their hand and let it warm up, and then rub their hands together and just put enough to where you're moisturizing your face, because when you wash, you're kind of stripping off the natural oils. You want to be replacing that back on top of a clean face. Another issue that I've seen with people using tallow and they're having some complaints. So another troubleshoot that I like to tell them is if your cells are turning over, but you're not cleaning those dead skin cells off your face and you're putting tallow on top, you're basically just trapping it in. So a little bit of physical exfoliation is great. So you just take like a warm towel and just cleansing the face and making sure that there's not like a lot of buildup or like residue on the face, and then putting your tallow. Make sure you're not putting your tallow on a dirty face, because then you are trapping those dead skin cells that you haven't taken off. You're kind of like capping it with the tallow. And then, bacteria is underneath there, and that is what's causing acne. So really my favorite product is the witch hazel based toners, because they're gentle, but they're also antibacterial. So we're making sure that there's not any trapped bacteria on the face. And so those 3 things people have seen such great success that I feel so confident in saying, and we kind of even set up a little kit around a charcoal bar, a tonic or a toner, and the tallow, because it works so well for acne. And, there's hormonal issues that are going on that sometimes you'll still have a little breakout here or there, but that is going to take care of any like festering bacteria on the face.
Okay. Well, I put the witch hazel toner on my face actually, I think last night. I don't have the charcoal bar, so I'm going to have to get that, because I will tell you, my skin goes through phases, especially the week before my cycle.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I'm like, oh, great, I'm going to start soon, because my skin just goes crazy. And then again, there's some weeks where I'm like, oh, nice. I'm like feeling myself. I'm like, all right, I'm looking good. And then all of a sudden it's the hormones.
Yes.
And, that could just be like, you could be doing everything right, eating correctly, drinking enough water, all the things. And you're like, you just can't get away from these dang hormones
Yep.
sometimes.
That's the truth.
Now let's talk about anti-aging. Now, collagen, I see a lot of topical collagen products. Now, is that a scam? Like, I'm just going to be flat out and
Yeah,
ask.
it is. It is. The topical collagen is not going to be utilized by the skin cells to form more collagen. That's just not, it doesn't work that way. Now, high quality, good collagen internally does make a difference. And I have definitely noticed a difference. I love taking collagen. I'm a huge proponent of it. But topical collagen is just, it's not absorbed by the skin, and it can't cross that, like we were talking earlier. It's too big of a molecule to cross the skin barrier. And so your body's really not using it. But there are other things like hyaluronic acid. It sounds like an acid. It might sound scary, but what it does is it plumps up the skin, and it is a water attractant. So used correctly, really, really great for the skin. Another really great anti-aging ingredient that's natural is bakuchi oil is kind of how, I'm pretty sure it's how it's
Ooh, what is
pronounced.
that?
So it's like I guess people are saying it's like nature's form of retinol. And it does not act the way that topical retinol acts, but what it does is it increases cell turnover, right? Which is what gives skin its youthful look. And so because it's increasing cell turnover combined with things like hyaluronic acid really does help smooth out the skin, plump it up, and look nice. And that's in our reparative serum. And so there are some great, really potent active botanicals and things that we can use that aren't synthetic, like retinol and vitamin A.
Wow. Oh,
I'm
yeah.
talking about synthetic retinol.
Okay.
Retinol.
Okay. So let's just say someone is looking in their pantry right now. What are some things that people can use it's a natural skincare product that is probably maybe in their pantry that they could use, like cheap, ready to go stuff?
Honey. So honey is a humectant, amazing for the face. So they could just go into there if they wanted to do like a honey mask. I would totally combine like a honey mask maybe with some like a vitamin C supplement. You could open up a capsule, dump it in some honey, and mix that up and put that on your face. That would be if I was just in my pantry looking for skincare, I would do that. Maybe that's a great question for on the spot. What else
Yeah.
could I make out of my pantry? Definitely tallow. You can mix tallow with an essential oil. I know we talked about essential oils
Mhm.
earlier. Properly diluted oils that are good for the skin can be extremely beneficial, and heavy emphasis on properly diluted. We adhere to Robert Tisserin's dilution rates, and he wrote like the book on essential oils and dilution, and we adhere to those standards at Toups. And so being really informed on what you're putting on your skin, not every essential oil. I actually am not a proponent for any essential oils straight. I think they should all be diluted. And then proper rates are usually a lot less than what you think. Definitely with essential oils, less is more.
What should you dilute it with? What
Any
oil?
kind of carrier oil. So obviously I love tallow, lard, jojoba oil, olive oil. Those definitely, olive oil is what most people have in their pantry, and it's probably the best and easiest way to dilute an essential oil.
Okay. Now I've put yogurt on my face before.
Yeah, probiotics. Yogurt is great. And now obviously you want to be using a non-sweetened, um,
Right.
just
You're
plain
not putting
yogurt.
like Yoplait yogurt on your
You're right.
face. Yeah, yeah.
I feel like in today's day, like in today's time, that you kind of have to like have that little caveat when you say yogurt. I'm talking about real plain yogurt with active culture.
Yeah, that's so funny you say that because I actually think the opposite. When I say yogurt, I automatically assume people think I'm talking about plain, pure
Right.
yogurt. So that's a good point that, sometimes you got to be mindful of that, to put that in there. Um, what do you think about like oatmeal masks? Because
It
I've
just
done an
depends
oatmeal
on the
mask
oats.
before. Okay.
Obviously you want to make sure that you're getting non-glyphosate. Oats
Mm-hmm.
are definitely one of those, even organic, that have been found to have like high levels of glyphosate. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm not crazy about using grains unless you're really sure of your source, or you're getting like certified glyphosate-free oats. Because our skin is our biggest organ. And so when we're putting stuff on our skin, we want to make sure that it's of the utmost quality and that we're not in non-intentionally absorbing things that we didn't intend.
Yeah. Okay. Last question about the whole like natural pantry thing. What about avocado, like mashed avocado on your face? Because I know we talked about plant oils and that's technically a plant. So,
Yeah, I mean, if it wouldn't be my first choice, but in certain instances, sure.
okay. Now it's 2024. So I know everyone is watching their money. Everyone's on a budget. So, for those wanting to make the switch and adapt to natural skincare, like if we could go all natural but can't afford it yet, what is the first thing someone should swap out? And then what's the second thing and the third, you know?
Okay, the first is always going to be for me deodorant because we're putting it on the most. If you're going to skip something, you're going to skip makeup, you might skip your skincare. Nobody's skipping their deodorant. And it's one of the most toxic products that we use. And so even when I speak in front of audiences, at the very end, I always say, if you're going to make one change today, right? Because it can be overwhelming. It can seem like so many choices. But if you're going to switch one out today for better health, I tell them, look, there's a garbage can at the exit. Let's drop our deodorants in it and find deodorant with healthy ingredients, no aluminum, no fragrance. Because one, we're putting it under our arms, and especially as women, right near our breasts. And there's a huge, rise in the cases of breast cancer that I think is easily the first one to swap. The second one would probably be like lipstick, because there are a lot of lipsticks and lip glosses that have colorants that are full of lead. They're high amounts of lead, I and I don't know the statistic off the top of my head, but I think it's like people who wear lipstick every day eat like 1 to 2 pounds of lipstick a year or something crazy like that, right? Because you're licking your lips and you're actually ingesting it. Plus, you're putting it on your skin and it's being absorbed. So, finding clean lip products are really important. And then, thirdly, I guess I would move to eyes because, we're absorbing things straight into our eyeballs and it's right there near our brain. So, if we're going to be putting chemicals on, our eyes are just super sensitive. Anywhere our like mucous membranes, our mouth and our eyes, and then obviously our armpits are probably the top three places where I would replace those products first.
Those are some great tips. Do you guys have a non-toxic deodorant? Because
We
am
do.
I just missing it? You
Yeah,
do?
we do. We have two forms. So we have our regular strength deodorant has no baking soda. It's baking soda free and it's magnesium
Okay.
based. But our extra strength deodorant does have like naturally mined baking soda. And because it's in tallow, we are seeing just this huge decrease in people who were previously sensitive to baking soda based deodorants be able to use them. But they don't work for everyone. So we have two different versions.
I love that. I don't wear deodorant, but if I were, I would definitely check them out. I may even want to check them out because it is dead in the summer. And, regardless, if you don't smell or like give off a scent, you still perspire. And yes, I do sweat. That's another thing that was huge for me when I stopped wearing deodorant, like initially, is that I did go through like a detox phase where I smelled like I smelled pretty bad. But now it's been years that I just don't wear deodorant. I don't actually have like BO. I mean, I may, but and I'll notice if I smell more than other days is because I'm like, oh, I didn't have such a clean diet, the
Yes.
past few
Yes.
week or whatever. And that totally makes a difference.
It does make a difference. Huge.
Yeah. Wow. There's just so many things to cover here, but for time's sake, Emilie, I do want to ask, so what makes Toups Co. different from other tallow brands? Because there's a lot of tallow brands out there now.
Yeah, when we first started, there was like one or two. There was just hardly anyone on the market, and now I'm seeing so many tallow brands. Which I'm really of the thought that there's room for everyone at the top. So I think it's amazing. I think it's great. Definitely collaborative over competition. I think it's so wonderful. But what I think is so important is the quality of the tallow. Number one, where is this tallow coming from? Is it coming from regenerative farms? Are they working with Savory Institute? Are they actually using regenerative practices, which is like first and foremost very important? And two, how are they rendering the tallow? Are they buying it pre-rendered? Are they using extraction methods instead of traditional rendering methods? What are their rendering methods? I think they're all really important for preserving the integrity of the tallow. So I think that's something that really sets us apart, is that's always been very important to me, that we hand render all the tallow ourselves, strain it, and we've got a great process now, but definitely took us years to kind of get to where we are, and it worked well. And then just the less is more. None of our products are very heavily scented, and I think that all of our products come in an unscented version, no essential oils at all. And then we have a few that have some essential oils, and or even have an essential oil free that's just made with like almond and vanilla, basically the almond and vanilla that you would cook with. So it's edible and like food grade. And so I think what really sets us apart, and at the same time is an issue for some people, is that they're coming from these very scented versions of body care products. And then when they smell ours, sometimes they're like, it smells like nothing to me. And I was like, well, give your, olfactory a reset.
Give your body to adjust. Yeah.
Yes, and it will. And then you'll kind of be able to start smelling the very light fragrance of some of the essential oils, because they're properly diluted. That is just that's the way they smell in the small amounts that they're in there. But that's what makes us unique and special. And I think it's an important part of our ethos at Toups. And so, looking just for really high quality, great, thoughtfully sourced ingredients is kind of number one.
Yeah, well, I love that. And if people are interested, we'll make sure to put your website in today's show notes so people can kind of browse and carouse and look through and see all you guys have to offer. But where can people find you on social?
So they can find us on Instagram at Toups Co Organics, same on Facebook, and then at our website at toopsandco.com.
Awesome. Again, we'll be sure to put those links in today's show notes. Thank you again, Emilie, for coming on. And I hope everyone listening got some information that they never knew before and are a little bit more empowered to really make those choices. Even if it's just one simple swap, it can make a huge difference.
Thank you so much, Bethany.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Digest This. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review in your podcast app to let us know. If you're ever wondering how you can support me and this podcast, sharing it with your friends and family is the best way. This is a Resonant Media production produced by Drake Peterson and edited by Mike Fry. To email the show, message us at digestthispod@gmail.com. See you next time. The content of this show is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not a substitute for individual medical and mental health advice and does not constitute a provider-patient relationship. As always, talk to your doctor or health team first.